Once upon a time, in a peaceful farmyard, a mother duck sat on her nest, waiting for her eggs to hatch. One by one, the eggs cracked open, and out came the cutest little ducklings. But the last egg was much larger than the others, and took much longer to hatch. When it finally cracked open, a large, awkward bird appeared, much to the surprise of the mother duck. The other ducklings, with their soft yellow feathers and small, cute appearances, looked at the newcomer with curiosity, but as soon as they saw him, they began to laugh and mock him. "Oh, what an ugly duckling," one of them said. "He's too big and strange," another duckling chimed in. The poor little bird felt miserable. He had never felt so different from everyone else. His feathers weren't yellow like the others, they were dull gray. His neck was long and awkward, and his body was too large for a duckling. The other animals in the farmyard joined in, teasing him even more. The chickens laughed at him, and the geese called him ugly. Feeling rejected and sad, the ugly duckling decided to run away from the farm. He waddled through the fields, through the woods, and past the villages, trying to find a place where he might belong. Everywhere he went, he was met with cruel words and rejection. No one wanted to be his friend. As winter came, the ugly duckling grew lonelier and colder. He found refuge in a small frozen pond, where he spent his days hidden away from the world. He was cold, hungry, and exhausted, but he refused to give up. He longed to find a place where he could be loved for who he truly was. One day, as spring arrived and the snow began to melt, the ugly duckling wandered toward a new pond. Here, he saw something he had never seen before. Elegant swans with long necks and pristine white feathers gliding gracefully over the water. They were beautiful beyond belief. The ugly duckling stood in awe, mesmerized by their beauty. He wished he could be like them, but he knew they would never accept him. He had always been told he was ugly, and he doubted anyone could ever see him as anything other than what he had been called. But to his surprise, the swans noticed him. One of them swam up to him and said, "Come join us." The ugly duckling hesitated. "I'm not like you," he said, his voice filled with uncertainty. The swans smiled gently. "You are one of us. Come and join us." Feeling a mixture of hope and fear, the ugly duckling cautiously stepped into the water. As he swam alongside the swans, something magical happened. His dull gray feathers began to transform. Slowly, they turned into the most beautiful white feathers. His long neck became graceful, and his body became sleek and strong. When the transformation was complete, the ugly duckling was no longer the awkward bird he once was. He had become a beautiful swan, just like the others. The swans surrounded him, welcoming him with open wings. They no longer saw him as ugly or different. They saw him for who he truly was. For the first time in his life, the swan felt at peace. He realized that all the hardships he had faced, the teasing and rejection, had been part of his journey. He wasn't an ugly duckling after all. He was a magnificent swan. His true beauty had been inside him all along, waiting for the right time to emerge. The once ugly duckling now lived happily with the other swans, gliding across the water with pride and joy. He had found his place in the world, and he finally understood that beauty doesn't come from outward appearances, but from within. The moral of the story about the ugly duckling teaches us that beauty is not always immediately visible, and it's important not to judge others or ourselves based on first impressions. Sometimes it takes time to grow into who we are meant to be. The story encourages us to have patience and faith in ourselves, no matter how others may perceive us.